Tessa from Biotech. Thanks very much for taking time out of your day to join us and hear from some exciting startups out of Victoria. Before I continue, I'd like to acknowledge that the southern tip of Vancouver Island, where I currently reside, is the traditional territory of the Lekwungen people. We acknowledge with respect these people, also known as the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations communities, whose relationship with this land continues to this day. Coming up on June 21st is actually National Indigenous Peoples Day, so stay tuned to your local calendars for any upcoming events and resources. Now, last fall, Biotech Capital Investment Network, Women's Equity Lab, and Syndicates held the very first battle of the pitch decks. It's now grown into a multi-city battle with the Angel Forum, Start Yukon, and Accelerate Okanagan joining forces. We've already heard from companies in Vancouver and Whitehorse, and today you're going to hear from companies in Victoria. On May 5th, we'll hear from companies in the Okanagan, and then on June 2nd is the grand finale, where one winning startup from each city are going to face off. So we're really excited about that. You can register for all of these events on Eventbrite. I just posted the link. And you can also look back at some of the past events on YouTube if you missed any, and I will post a link to that shortly. Just a few housekeeping items. A reminder that this is a webinar and all attendees are muted and unseen. Feel free to use the chat box at the bottom to engage with the group throughout the event. And just a reminder to make sure the note goes to panelists and attendees and not just panelists. And following each presentation, our judges will have the opportunity to ask questions. Feel free to use the Q&A box to ask further questions, and the startups will try and reply to that via text or live near the end of the event. Today's winner will be decided following a brief deliberation at the end as we tally points, so stay tuned. I'd now like to introduce Jordan Shelley of the Capital Investment Network and Syndicates to say a few more words. Over to you, Jordan.
Thanks, Tessa, and hi, everyone. Today's competing startups in order will be LetHub, Brain First, and Dropcommerce. I'd like to do a special thanks to our judges for participating today. Aaron from Well Vancouver, Steve from Start Yukon, Carolyn from Accelerate Okanagan, Peter from Angel Forum, Rob from Biotech, and Stephanie from Capital Investment Network. I'd also like to thank all our sponsors, and especially Denton's, for offering each participant up to 3 hours of free legal advice. All Victoria participants will receive a book, from Capital Investment Network and a strategy session from Syndicates. Let's start our very first pitch. Take it away, Faizan, LetHub.
Hey everyone, my name is Faizan and I'm the founder and CEO of LetHub, so let's get started. So at LetHub, we build AI-powered software for rental property managers that rents out properties 10 times faster than an actual leasing agent. It increases the throughput and the net operating income of a property management company. The overall property management industry is very messy. Property managers get tons of inquiries, almost 1,000 emails a month, and they can only get back to half of them, or almost half of them, which takes a lot of time. And the other half is just never really dealt with on time. So people move on to other property management companies or other landlords. It's messy because they have other things to do. All of these inquiries from whether it's for long-term property managers, for example, from Zillow, Zamper, and Trulia, all these listing websites throw in all of these inquiries to their email inbox, and they have to respond to questions. Questions can be around pets, it can be around parking, or if it's a short-term rental like Airbnb, questions can be around check-in time. And also, the same leasing agents also have to take care of current tenant problems. Maybe someone has maintenance issues, maybe someone's heater is not working. So all of these inquiries come into one inbox and then they're dealt with by the leasing agent, and a lot of it is very leaky. So why do they operate in this way? It's very inefficient and causes a lot of lost rent because they're mostly busy with dealing with prospects who are not really qualified. Their inbox gets flooded, as we spoke about. Their pipeline is super leaky. The response time is way higher. So there's no automated way of dealing with these inquiries coming in. And there's no real pre-qualification criteria set up. Everyone is invited to a showing. Nobody's really filtered out beforehand to make sure there'd be a good tenant or not. And that way, people who are not really interested or are window shoppers never show up to the property and they waste a property manager's time. And once these leads come in, there's no real system to bank these leads, to put them in a CRM, and there's no real analytics going on. There's no real feedback loop. Everything is spreadsheets and emails and not really well organized. And that causes people to spend more time on things and not work on getting more business or finding better tenants. So that's why we built LetHub. It improves the whole lead management flow for a property management company, whether it's long-term or short-term. And the way we do it is that we take care of the whole process. We connect to your email, we respond. So our AI will understand questions and respond to them, to these prospects. We will pre-qualify people. We will schedule showings automatically. We will capture all that lead info, put it into a CRM, and also we will follow up with people. Hey, hi, why haven't you booked a tour yet? Are you looking for a specific property? And after they're showing, we collect feedback. All of this is into one platform that can be used for different purposes. Now, we're growing very rapidly. In the last 4 months, we've 4x'd in our MRR. We've got 12 logos at the moment, and around 150K in our sales pipeline. We have around 50K in book revenue, and we have 0 churn. Our customers are all over the place in US and Canada, and most of these customers are growing really fast. So when they grow, we grow with them because our pricing is based on a per unit basis. We charge $1 per unit per month for our main module and another $2 for our maintenance module, which we will talk about. The current market, we started off with the rental property management market first. So currently there's 50 million rental units in US and Canada, charging $24 a unit per year. That's around $1.2 billion in ARR. And out of those 15 million units, 20 million are actually managed professionally, and that's around 480 million or $500 million in ARR. Our next target, after making sure we've covered the rental property management market, is to upsell to those people using our maintenance module, and after that, move on to the short-term rental market. All of this combined is around 2.5 billion. Our team is amazing. We've got 14 team members at the moment. Myself, this is my 3rd startup. I've been in real estate startups in the past. Bran, our CTO, manages the AI team. And also we've got amazing advisors to help us along the way. Our go-to-market is simple, but there's no hacky way. We go direct to customers. We do inbound marketing, a lot of content, a lot of social media, and we have partnerships with different people that provide services to property managers. On a spectrum of competition, we sort of land in a place where we want to be totally independent and autonomous. Other providers are legacy systems. There's no real AI. There's form-based systems that really heavily rely on property managers or leasing agents to sort of monitor the whole platform, and then always log in and look at leads. Our system is plug and play. And there's always no staff required after you start using the product after the onboarding. Currently, we're raising 500K at the price round. That's the goal, is to reach 1 million ARR. That's 70 more customers. We need 58 more customers to reach that target. That's around 18 months of runway. We've got federal money. We've got IRAP for our maintenance module. So we want to leverage that IRAP money to build an add-on product, and mostly around sales and customer success. As we're growing, we would need more customer success people. We're EBC and RRSP friendly. So if you're an investor in NBC, happy to chat. You have my email on the slide deck, and yeah, happy to answer any questions. And thanks for taking the time, everyone.
Thank you very much, Faisal. Does anyone on the judging panel have some questions? I can see all of you, so if you want to raise your hand, then you can go ahead. So is there anyone with a question? I do have a question to start it off, Faisal. Well done. Thank you. Can you just tell me a little bit how you get your customers?
Yeah, so our model is like pretty simple. We
we do direct sales, right? So we have a team that does prospecting, and then we reach out to customers who are still early adopters for now, and majority of them use a specific type of software, fall under a certain persona, customer persona, and yeah, we do direct selling. We send out proposals, we do product demos, and then yeah, we send out invoices. And I think 80% of our customers sign up like annually, so they pay us upfront for the year, and that sort of helps us with like building our sales team and getting a better funnel. And like we pick different areas to target. So right now our target is like California, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And from the inbound side of things, we have like a content sort of marketing team that produces like blog content, social media stuff, videos. We also are trying to work on the webinars and video series. So that produces around like 10% of our demos. And we've had customers who have, provided info and like signed up with us after, reading a blog about AI or things like that. That's pretty much the core of how we get customers.
Okay, thank you very much, Faisal. Carolyn.
Hi, can you explain how you how there's little staffing required after onboarding? Like, is it a template system that's set up? How is it? How does it differ from the competitors in that sense?
Yeah, so the core problem we're trying to solve is like if there is staff required to sit and work on a platform, then there's no point. So the goal is that after the onboarding session, which includes a lot of things like custom questions people want to ask, their schedules, connecting their calendars, we connect with Google, Microsoft, like all of those, we connect with your email, all of that. When it's done, it's like sort of like a set it and forget it system. And the onboarding takes like 2 calls or sometimes like just 1 call with the whole team. They're on average like 5 to 7 leasing agents on a team that go through this whole onboarding process. They get set up and then they go live. And when they go live, we sort of monitor their account. And then from then onwards, it's just basically some support work. Yeah, it's not your typical, like, we don't need this leasing agents to log in and always like, make sure like, respond to people or like see what's happening. They wake up in the morning, they'll look at their calendar and they see 10 different showings and then just go about their day and do those showings.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Faisal. Is there any other question from the panel? Yes, Erin.
I just had a quick one, if you don't mind running through the fee schedule with me. So it's $1 per property and then what, $2 for the maintenance one. And I guess just a follow-up question, how many of your is just with the $1 and how many with the $2 maintenance?
Yeah, so we charge like $1 per unit per month. A unit is just 1 door you can think of. So a property can have like 4 units. Or it could have 100 units. So our minimum start at like $199, and that's what we charge. So on average, we have customers who manage single family houses or multifamily condos, townhouses, all those. And on average, it's around 800 to 1,000 units under management. So they're paying us $800 to $1,000 per month. But because they pay up front, it's around 12K to 15K based on the size. With the maintenance module, to your question, Aaron, that's something in the works. We're getting a lot of requests from our current customers that they also want an AI platform for maintenance side of things, like current tenants asking a lot of questions and like the whole vendor management piece where you have to contact, like, let's say if there's a plumbing request, you have to contact the plumber, get a quote from the plumber, see if the plumber makes shows up, and the pricing, the accepting the quote, the scheduling, then the feedback. So all of that was asked for us to develop. So we're developing that. So in short, that's going to be around $2 per unit per month. So it's gonna, like, at the end of the day, a customer would be paying us $3 or like on average $3,000 a month per customer with the maintenance module and the current leasing module.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Faizan. One more question, a burning question, and that's the pre-money valuation that was actually asked both in the chat and in the Q&A.
Yeah, so currently we're looking at 3.9 mil, raising 500K.
Yeah,
and happy to chat with
yeah,
them.
no, that's okay.
Yeah.
And the terms? I mean, is it common shares, preferred?
It's common shares and it's a price round.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Tessa, how are we doing time-wise?
Good. We can move on to the next presentation.
Then we do that. Thank you very much,
everyone.
Faizan. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, our next up is Brain First. Take it away, Kelly.
Hi, I am Callie, and I'm here to present a game-changing platform in the EdTech space called the Brain First program. My partner, Dr. Laura, and I have solved a massive problem to improve the state of our classroom health, productivity, and development in grades K to 5. The numbers today are absolutely staggering. Students are facing an incredible amount of struggle with rates that are skyrocketing. 1 in 9 have ADHD. Over 600,000 are on psychiatric drugs in the United States. And this is causing nearly half of our valued, respected teachers to leave the field within 5 years. Today, more kids are experiencing challenges than ever before, and they're given medication to cover up the symptoms, which is creating additional challenges. But what we know today is that the majority of these challenges begin in the brain, and they can be resolved using the power of our own bodies. That's the paradigm shift that we're creating in education right now, all starting with Brain First. So the Brain First program is an online classroom tool for grades K to 5 that contains all of the brain boosting resources that are needed to maximize potential in students. Teachers simply select a course and administer pre-made videos to their classroom first thing in the morning for 10 minutes a day. During this time, students are exposed to specific brain-boosting activities and exercises that are developed in-house and geared to improve the neural connectivity and resolve the challenges we see today. Over a set number of weeks, we can see and expect noticeable changes in behavior, self-regulation, focus, academic achievement, even subtle things like posture and writing, with no additional work required from the teacher to prepare. So in our program, we do things like pat your head and rub your tummy. We do mindfulness exercises, all things that work multiple areas of the brain. We have over 280 neurology-based activities in our courses, and we're expanding annually. So this photo just reflects the difference between Brain First and other social wellness programs out there in schools, which is ultimately why we created the program. Other programs focus on just one area of the brain, the frontal cortex and the amygdala, practicing executive function and emotional control, which is important. But the problem is that many students do not have the ability to practice this effectively because other areas of the brain are not wiring and firing properly, which is why a whole brain approach to learning is so important and why our neurology-based approach focuses on activation and training of the entire brain to make everything easier for students to learn. So some differences between us and our competitors include the quality of programming and the method of instruction. So other online or in-person training programs put responsibility on the teacher to learn, facilitate, and develop the class programming. But we work with educators to ensure that the Brain First program brings experts in various fields of mental and physical health, including functional neurology, primitive reflexes, and mindfulness, and wrap it up in easy to implement courses for the classroom. So since we launched in January, we've been completing beta analysis and district trials. The first trial we conducted was with a local school district, and after our trial, the organization decided that the program was highly necessary for the success of their elementary students. We're just beginning our renewals with them right now that will generate $25,000 Canadian of annual recurring revenue. So our customers are what allow us to constantly improve, and by listening to their feedback, we've been able to provide an experience and annual recurring revenue generating product that continues to benefit the classroom. We're wrapping up our initial study and we're seeing incredible results. This study is designed to qualify us to one of the largest social emotional learning organizations in North America, known as CASEL, which some of the biggest US and Canadian districts look to for approved programming. With this, our doors open up to districts including Boston, Nashville, and Surrey here in Canada, with over 109 elementary schools, each school requiring 10 to 40 licenses. So we've conducted beta here in BC, and we're now ready to begin expanding into new markets. We've just signed a distribution agreement with a large education company on the East Coast known as Magic Lantern Media, and we're working towards acceptance of the social emotional learning partner I just talked about, Castle. So paired with our BC distribution that we have that's very strong, our accessible pipeline to 2024 adds up to nearly $7 million in annual recurring revenue. So we generate revenue primarily through our annual subscription to the platform at $129 Canadian per teacher per year. Our sales cycle typically begins with a Pro D seminar to schools where we educate and market the Brain First program in exchange for a fee. We've generated leads and connections into the Canadian marketplace, and we're ready to make segue into the US, where we anticipate high growth and low churn rates. So some milestones that we've achieved include generating 600 organic platform users using minimal marketing initiatives, developing our first distribution agreement with one of the largest education providers in Canada, and sourcing out 2 of the most strategic, skilled individuals for our team, including a woman who has extensive sales and marketing experience in the US, as well as a district implementation administrator who has BC-wide district connections. Our pipeline takes us to an anticipated growth to 5,000 platform users by 2022, resulting in about $500,000 in annual recurring revenue. So this graph shows us our fiscal ended in May, showing our revenues and EBITDA. As you can see, we have a very high margin product. Our annual projections are based on the highly experienced and qualified team we're building and the partnerships that we will have and have now, our growth plan, and our high margin annual recurring revenue model. So the co-founders have over 15 years of combined experience in neurology and mindfulness focused on children. I've recruited a VP of sales and marketing with over 20 years of experience in the BDE sector, including building and successfully exiting from a company that provided educational products to thousands of schools in the United States. The board has 2 independent directors, Mike Volker and Ford Skeen, with significant experience in investing and growing early stage companies, and they've launched off our raise as lead investors in our financing. So we're offering Series 1 Class A preferred shares at 50 cents per share at a liquidation preference of 1.5 times and a $2.9 million US fully diluted valuation. We have no debt and will be using our funds to launch into the market primarily with our research, sales, and marketing initiatives to reflect the pathway to growth and expansion across international markets. So Brain First will become a prime acquisition candidate in the education sector, where large edtech giants are acquiring early stage companies to maintain their competitive edge. Transactions in edtech in Q3 2020 totaled over $4.2 billion, and social emotional health and well-being has been brought to the forefront with recent changes in education structure. Let's be leaders and transform the way that students learn and set this generation up for success. Thank you for your time.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Kelly. I actually didn't even introduce myself. My name is Irene Dorsman from Angel Forum. I have emailed with you, Kelly, so it's nice to meet you. Is there anyone from the judging panel who has a question? If not, I'm happy to kick it off. But Peter, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask the team. I myself was on the school board here in West Vancouver, so I have some expertise in seeing what's coming in, and this was before COVID in software and platform offerings, and it's very hard for school districts to sort of make sense of everything that comes in and to fit everything into the program. So, in particular in Canada, I think you're facing a very uphill struggle in getting your product to market. So I'd like you to talk a bit more about the competition and sort of the market that post-COVID has seen a phenomenal offering in ed tech and ed tools, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe you can talk a bit more about that and get us comfortable that there is indeed a market opportunity for you.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and very cool that you're very integrated in the West Vancouver School District, Peter. So yeah, we during COVID, obviously things were a little bit difficult. Schools were shut down. We were conducting our beta during that time just to see what the market bite was like. And so when we conducted it, it was with the CISVA initially, and it went really well. So that was our first sort of piece of success that we had. From there, we started integrating into sort of looking at what it was like to integrate into public schools. And throughout British Columbia, some of the key districts that we were targeting include North Vancouver, Qualicum, Prince George, Williams Lake, and really getting into some conversations around sort of what is in schools currently and what they're missing. One thing that we identified is that education, social emotional learning and wellness strategies is becoming a pillar, and education's being created so that it's tailoring around that really large piece. You obviously know CASEL quite well. A lot of districts are looking towards CASEL for approved programming. And so with that, we've priced our product and we've made it so that it can get into schools from a principal level with approved budgeting from them, but also teachers can purchase it on their own too. On a district level, we are, like, for example, we have trialed the product with some of the districts that I've told you, and we're in the middle of them. And the trials as of current have had incredible not just interest, but there's been incredible engagement. And from that, we haven't had the issue come up yet of, oh, we can't get this into our programming. This doesn't work for our programming. It's too expensive. None of that has come up yet. And we've been in deep conversations with, these districts. And so, for that, I feel like our product is obviously coming across as something that is not just social emotional learning based. It's something that's required for educators to be able to succeed in their teaching. And the seminars that we provide to the teachers in our trials, they prove to be so educational, and the teachers learn so much from it that it becomes such an integral piece in their daily programming. So we have testimonials coming from teachers saying that once they use the product and understand it, it's integrated in their day and they don't want it to be taken away from them. So that makes it a little bit easier for us to be able to sort of speak of our product when we have teachers, principals, and even district administrators seeing the benefit.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Any other questions, Carolyn? Steph, go, Steph.
My question's around the research, the big research study that you have underway, 1,200 candidates. What are some of the key outcomes you're finding from that? I don't know.
No, that's really great. So the study, the type of study that we conducted with this is known as an observational study. And the reason that we did that is because it's aligned with what CASEL's looking for. And our goal with this study was not only to show that there is a very strong correlation between our program and improved behaviors and outcomes in students, but also to gain approval from CASEL so that we can access additional districts for programming and social emotional learning. As we've been conducting our check-ins with the participants, we've had an overwhelming amount of positive feedback. For example, there was a teacher that had a student with ADHD, and that student, after participating in the programming for a few weeks, has noticed that the student completely just blends in with the classroom now and is engaging and focused with the class, just like every other student. And so these are the positive outcomes that we're seeing in teachers by getting all of this observational feedback back from the teachers. And so with that, we are feeling extremely confident in our future research programming that we have developed in the pipeline.
So sorry, just to build on that. So at this point, you don't have like 40% reduction in symptoms.
We're actually in the middle. We're working with Amanda at UBC, who's actually taking the data, because the data is just coming in completed right now. So it's just finishing up. So it hasn't been completely decomposed and then put in and published out to our site and to CASEL yet. That's happening this summer because we had to finish up the study first. But all of we've been conducting check-ins along the way, and all of our check-ins so far have been overwhelmingly positive. So, 80% of the participants have actually given feedback, and I haven't really seen any negative feedback come through yet. So.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Carolyn, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I did see that maybe you had a question.
I do actually have a question.
Yeah.
One of my children has dyspraxia, which is a very underdiagnosed neurodiversity. Is there any type of like diagnosis or referrals that come from this product?
We don't do diagnosis, and the reason for that is because we are a
model. We're not a diagnosis and treatment-based product. And there's a few reasons for that. Initially, we aren't catering towards being more of a therapeutic use as of now, though we are conducting quantitative research in the near future to allow us to be able to be utilized in therapeutic practices. There are pediatricians that are looking to recommend our product to parents who are experiencing issues like retained primitive reflexes in their children, or various different diagnoses of brain-based challenges. So we are being utilized as a resource to be able to do at home in a way where you don't have to use medication to be able to help your student or your child at home. That's coming up the runway as a consumer line, but that is the whole therapeutic model is not something that we've chosen to kind of go down at this point, though it can be used in therapies. That's just specifically so we can access the school market and that we can be able to conduct our research. We would have to conduct a lot more research and go through a lot more prior to if we wanted to really get into the therapeutics model, even though we know that the product itself and the science behind the product is very sound. It was developed by neurologists out of the United States and by my internal partner. It's very sound science. It's just really, with any new product, it does take time to conduct that research, and we wanted to access a very broad population because the issues are so overwhelming for classrooms. So
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Tessa, is there time for one more question, or do we have to move on to the third company?
We can have one more quick question.
Good. Then I'm going to ask that question if you don't mind. Kelly, like the users of your application right now, there were 600, right? How many of them are paid and how many of them are free? And what do you find now? Is it like really individual teachers taking out the license? Can you speak a little bit to that, please?
Yeah, so out of the 600 users, we would have the number of paid users is really, it's less than that because we have so many piloting our product right now. So it's probably a third, I would say, actually utilizing and paying for the product. That would be monthly, annually, or based on a school package. So that is currently what is happening. The piloted users and the ones who are sorry, my dog just came in here. The piloted users are the ones who we're currently conducting studies, or we're currently conducting pilots with in the districts that I was mentioning across British Columbia. And then what was the remainder of your question? Sorry.
Yeah, my question was like, what do you find? Like, do you think individual teachers will pay 129?
Yeah,
Or do you think the market is really geared towards those school districts that just have a contract for the whole district?
Right. So we did price the product so that it would be, appeasable to the teacher and to the school. That's not our goal. Our goal is to go to more of a district level. And that was where we really tailored our pricing to sort of gain the interest by the teacher and the interest by the schools. But we wanted to really engage the district. And the reason for that is because we require education and onboarding and seminars before we can really see the result of what we're doing here. We're here to change the paradigm of education. We're not here to just provide another product to a student or a teacher. We're here to change the whole way that educators kind of look at wellness in education. And with that, it does require a level of education itself to these individuals. So when we've conducted, for example, last week, we conducted with Qualicum School District. We conducted our trial with them. It was a 3-hour onboarding session where we educated all of the users and the principal and the district administrator that was involved on the entire basis behind the program. The teachers, the administrators, they all understood it. They were onboarded and they didn't have to register themselves at the end of the seminar, and they got to start right away. With that, we've been able to see so much positive feedback coming from the way that we onboard them, but being able to do this in a district scale is something for us that is so important so that we can educate everybody before they actually go in and just do it themselves. So it's not our goal to have a teacher sign up without understanding. It's our goal to really get a strong foundation, reduce the churn, and change the paradigm. So hopefully that.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Tessa?
Sorry. Yeah.
Or
so,
sorry, Jordan.
to our final pitch, Patrick from Dropcommerce.
Hi, I'm Patrick, and I'm the CEO of Dropcommerce. I'm going to walk you through our pre-seed investor deck. The e-commerce market is a huge market, and it's growing very quickly. The US e-commerce market alone was projected to be $700 billion value in 2020 with 18% annual growth. Shopify has been hitting almost 100% year-over-year revenue growth. Meanwhile, the drop shipping industry alone has been valued at 110 billion globally in 2018 with a projected 29% annual growth. So what is drop shipping? If you're unfamiliar, an e-commerce store 10 years ago, for example, would have to physically warehouse their products and store them in either their house or an actual warehouse that they work with or a fulfillment center, and then they would promote and sell those products online. They've invested in inventory, they have all this risk, but over the last 10 years, dropshipping has become a really popular model for avoiding this risk and inventory investment. So what dropshipping is where online stores promote products from suppliers without actually ever purchasing the products or storing that inventory. And the supplier ships the product directly to the customer who purchases the product. So the store earns commission, the supplier gets a sale, and everybody's happy. The issue with dropshipping is that most dropshipping is from China. So there's actually this get rich quick scheme kind of mentality in the dropshipping market where everyone's just trying to make a quick buck selling low quality products. And AliExpress is the big kind of like the Amazon of China, and the products are low quality. They have 4 to 12 week shipping times, and there's zero supplier accountability. If you are buying something from AliExpress, or even worse, if you're selling something from AliExpress to a customer, you have almost no control over when it arrives, what it actually looks like when it arrives, what kind of packaging, what kind of messaging might be in that package. And if there is a problem, there'll be almost no way of dealing with it. Dropcommerce is an automated dropshipping platform with 100% US and Canadian based suppliers. So all of our suppliers ship from the US and Canada with fast, reliable shipping and high quality products. We curate our platform, so only suppliers that have the right visual aesthetic, brand, and reliability are even able to list on our platform. And that is what makes Dropcommerce very unique compared to our China dropshipping competitors. We allow direct communication with suppliers. We show you who they are, where they're based, and their brand, and the whole experience is just much more transparent. We have Shopify and BigCommerce integrations, which are both massive e-commerce platforms, and we plan to continue expanding. So our next one would probably be WooCommerce, which is another really big e-commerce platform. So far, we have 1,000 monthly paid subscription e-commerce stores, which we've built up over the last 2.5 years. We have over 500 North American suppliers and probably at least another 500 to 1,000 that are in various stages of onboarding. And we have over 30,000 high quality products to choose from. So our competitors would have more like 1 million or millions because they use the AliExpress integration. So they essentially just offer everything, which sounds like a good thing, but it actually isn't, because without the curation from Dropcommerce, you literally have to filter through millions of products. So it actually takes a really long time to find good quality stuff, especially when the majority isn't good quality to begin with on those platforms. So we have about 58K MRR, and we've been growing this organically almost entirely through Shopify and BigCommerce ecosystems. The competitive landscape looks like this. So Oberlo, which is the Shopify-owned dropshipping app, is in the bottom left corner. They have really long shipping time. They're exclusively AliExpress, and the product quality is inherently low. Modelist, which is a little bit further up here, they have some US products and some EU products, but they also have a lot of Chinese products. And so they're sitting still in the lower left end of this graph. Spocket, who we consider our closest competitor, they are a little further up here. They have US and EU products, but it's well known that they also really heavily sell Chinese products from AliExpress. So their branding is that they're a US company, but most of the products are still from AliExpress. So in general, we are the only company that actually exclusively deals with fast shipping and high quality products that are based in the US or Canada. So we're at 58K MRR right now, and our projections are to exceed 200K by the end of the first quarter of 2022. We have a small team of 10 people, and that includes myself as CEO, Spencer Bontho as the COO, and James DeGrief is our lead investor and advisor. We have a few developers, 3-person support team, 2 customer success and sales, and we have 1 full-time marketing. We're currently expanding our development team, and a big part of our fundraising round is going to go into expanding this team to build a more robust company. So we are at about a cash flow break even right now. We're not desperate to raise money, but we really believe we're under investing in the market opportunity right now. We are planning to open a pre-seed round and raise up to 700K at a 6 million pre-money valuation. Our goal is to close at the end of May. We're offering Class A voting shares, and we can offer EBC, and we can be involved with the Western Pacific Trust Company as well for who that's relevant for. We're targeting a 4 million round at a 20 million pre-money valuation in about 18 months, just to give you an idea of where our trajectory is going if things are going well. So the use of funds, we're going to be expanding the team, getting into paid marketing, geographical expansion, and expanding to new platforms. So lots of exciting stuff going on there. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the judging panel? Judges?
Patrick, let me take the first one. So that was a great presentation. Thank you very much. I didn't know that much about the Dropcommerce space. So very interesting. So what, let me give you just a generic question, because, your MRR is growing, you don't really need the money, you're preparing for a Series A round. What is your key worry? What keeps you up at night in building this business?
Great question. And my answer would be, when we started this business, it was definitely idealistic, just based on what the presentation, I hope you can understand, we're kind of fighting this battle against the mass market. Like 90% of the people or more in dropshipping aren't looking for high quality. They don't know they're looking for high quality. High quality is great, sounds great, but all of our competitors are promoting it. Even Shopify is still promoting Oberlo. When you sign up for Shopify, Oberlo is like auto installed if you say you want to do dropshipping. So we're fighting against that. And that means that we have to try to change the hearts and minds of a percentage of this market. So that's pretty tough. And I think that what comes with that is that what we're doing isn't the easiest option. We manually, we reach out to our suppliers. We actually have relationships. We convince them to sign up instead of pulling them in through an integration. So for us, it's still, profitability is still a lot tougher for US based. Like the shipping is reliable, but guess what comes with that? The cost of shipping in the US, as opposed to e-packet shipping from China, which is, at least they don't usually charge for it, or they charge about $1. Obviously it costs something, but our suppliers might charge $5 or $10 and sometimes 15. So it depends on the product. It depends on the margins they're offering. A lot of just logistical stuff like that, I don't want that to be the problem, but those are the ones that we face, are just sort of how do we find the right products that have the right amount of profitability and are popular enough, and just sort of, I guess, like merchandising is a way of putting it, is like, how do we know which products to promote to the right people? So right now it's pretty simple. We pretty much promote the products to people based on the niche that they indicate they're interested in when they sign up. And that's about as far as we go for automating. We don't claim to have any sort of AI product recommendation algorithms, but it probably should be something that we build out. So I hope that kind of answers your question. It's just kind of the logistics of like the profitability and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Any other question? Thank you, Steph.
Just a basic question on pricing. So you have 1,000 stores, 50,000 in MRR. Is the model just to offer a subscription, $50 a month model to access the products on your platform, or how does it work?
Yeah, essentially. So we have 3 plans, $19 basic plan. So probably about 80% of our people are 80% are paying that. And then we have the remainder are either paying 50 or about 90, 89 a month. So yeah, it's totally subscription based. We don't charge any commission or anything like that. We're trying to pass off as much margin as we can to the sellers, because that's already sort of an inherent problem. And so yeah, the model's just subscription based right now. And yeah, averages at about 58, I guess. If we do the math, about 58 a month is the average of what they're paying.
And how do you find, sorry, last question. How do you find the products that you list, and what's the process for vetting what gets put on your platform?
So we vet them like a startup. So when we find them, sometimes we do sort of wide scale outreach. There are a lot of platforms. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Fair, but they're kind of like the big wholesale platform. They're kind of like the wholesale version of what we're trying to do. Somewhat curated, looks really nice, lots of high quality US companies. So they have a plain text list on their website of their suppliers. So we definitely mine their lists and look for suppliers that we think align with us. And then we aren't really able to vet them on the level of actual reliability at first pass. Like, we do have to let them sign up, and we just monitor it really closely. Fortunately, because of the brands that pass the threshold of like, they look like a real brand, they actually, they seem really legitimate up front. We almost never have any actual issues with reliability or anything like that. So we can almost say that we heavily vet, even though really what we do is we pick ones up front that we believe, we make a bet on them, and very, very rarely do we have to remove a supplier. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
I think it does. It's you've answered and made a lot of things very clear right now. So that's good. There's one more question? We have time for one more question here. So if there's anyone on the Erin, yeah.
I had a lot of questions before, and then actually the presentation.
Yes, exactly.
Most of them. So I was just sitting back. I love the idea of this concept and focusing on North American products and companies in that regards. So just a quick one. I was just wondering, what is your first, once you have your raise and successful, what would be your first step where you see what will really take you to the next level of growth?
So the one thing that we've really been lacking is more of a robust dev team. Like, I was the only developer for the first year and a half. Less than a year ago, we hired our first developer. So it was a lot to handle. And especially at the start of COVID, when we saw a lot of growth, like, there are times where I was working like 16 hours a day, and it was just, we loved being this bootstrap company that, was able to handle it and build this business on our terms and all that. But and honestly, we resisted raising money for a long time because we loved having ownership. We're, first time tech founders, like, it felt really good to have the control, and I didn't think we really needed it. But we're at a point where we're probably losing, even let's say 5% of our customers or whatever, we're losing some percentage of our customers because of bugs. Surely we're losing, like, we have this promise of reliability and this promise of curation and all these things. We can do it all a lot better with just a bit more of a team, a couple more developers, a couple more support people. Like, we've underinvested in, we have this promise, and I don't think we're fully living up to it. I think we're doing a good job. Beyond that, that's an easy answer, which is hiring. Beyond that, just actually scaling through paid marketing. We've essentially not really we've almost not even tested it. We've done a little bit, but because we're cash flowing, like, we don't have a huge amount of funds in the bank. We're spending our funds on our employees, so once we have investment, we'll be able to seriously dive into scaling the ads and trying to multiply the business that way.
That's great. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Patrick. I think it's time to look at the judging sheet, right?
Yeah. So thank you very much, everyone. Judges are going to put in their final scoring right now in the rating sheet. While they do that, we can do an audience Q&A, and I'm just going to kick it off with a poll to ask all of you what your favorite presentation was. So we're going to do an audience favorite as well. I'll leave that open while we do audience Q&A, waiting for the final results.
Thank you, Tessa. Perfect. I'm just gonna keep asking a few more questions. Patrick, the last one for you, if you're ready.
Sure.
There's a question. We have talked a bit about how you acquire your customers, but the customer acquisition costs are a question.
Sure. So yeah, it's kind of a tough thing to answer because 95% of all of our users and installs have all been free via Shopify, which is beautiful, and we love that. However, I recognize that moving forward, especially if we want to scale proactively instead of just organically, we do need to figure that out. We have been running over the last 4 months some paid Facebook and Instagram ads to test the acquisition cost. And what we found is that our customers are being acquired for, I think, it was about maybe like $70. And so far, like our typical customer would pay us around 100 or 120. Keeping in mind, in the drop shipping business, there's a lot of churn. Most people are coming in with no experience. It's kind of like the get rich quick people. So they come in, they'll pay us for a month and then they'll leave. And then we have the other end of the spectrum, the people that come in and stay for have been around for a year and a half. So customer acquisition cost is not something I feel like really comfortable just giving a number because it's not super tested.
Yeah.
But in our small tests, we have seen some ROI, just not enough to really dump our limited budget into that.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Patrick. I've learned a lot, which I really like.
I'm
so I really appreciate that. Thanks very much. I have a question for Kelly. Kelly, are you still there? And I'm gonna pick this one from the chat box. Someone mentioned like brain training apps are hot for adults, and perhaps a customer acquisition strategy is to create a simple free mobile app and market it direct to the customer. Let the users generate the demand for the school's educators. Can you just give me your opinion on that?
Yeah, no, and that's a really good thought process, and that's something that we actually were experimenting with during COVID. The thing for us is that we really need to educate individuals on the importance of neurology, and this is a newer concept. It's what we're doing, and so we also were in the middle of a lot of beta improvements at the time. So that's definitely not out of the question in the future to be able to offer some sort of light version for consumers. However, we've had a lot of success so far in our limited sort of time being in market in general, just educating districts, and a lot of districts talk and word of mouth that way. So we really don't want to stretch ourselves too thin by offering something for so many different sort of areas right now. And really, we want to focus on gaining a really strong presence where we're focusing on. And we're having some success in that. And we see that there's a really strong sort of future for that. So, I mean, it is something that is a great idea, and it's something that we've definitely thought about. It's really not something we're putting all of our resources into right now because we're seeing some success currently in what we're doing. With the East Coast, we have a partnership with the East Coast who's marketing us to like Toronto School District and various other schools within different regions across Canada, and we're seeing success there. We're talking with the Ministry of Education in Nova Scotia. We're already seeing a lot of traction in conversations happening, and so we just don't feel like right now is the time to do that. So
makes total sense. Thank you. Good. And my last question for Faizan LetHub. Faizan, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
That's awesome. A question, I also picked this one from the Q&A. It's like, as a first-time CEO, what could go wrong? What keeps you up at night?
Oh, I'm the third-time CEO.
There you go. See, so you said that straight. There you go.
Yeah, so I think one of the major things is that we are currently getting more customer demand than we would actually want. So we like at any given time we have like 3 to 4 people that need to be onboarded, and then there needs to be a customer success person, making sure that people are actually getting enough value. Our target market is very non-techie. They use spreadsheets and emails and yeah, it's and checks and like no online payments. So we our goal is to like onboard them in a very easy manner, and then once they're up and running, sort of make sure they're set up for success. So that is what keeps me up at night, because even at right now we have like 4 customers who've just started, and we need to make sure that they're having a blast using LetHub. So yeah, that's sort of what keeps me up at night.
Good, thank you. Well, maybe you can help yourself a little bit by making your customers turn to use Mazuma Go for payments. That really might help big time.
For sure. Yeah.
It's just
yeah, we're all out of time now. The judges' scores are in, it looks like. Before we do that, I will just share the audience favorite. Here we go. So audience favorite was Dropcommerce.
Interesting.
They really liked your presentation. Congratulations. And I'll send it over to Jordan now to remind people what the winner receives, in addition to being able to be in the finale and announce the winner.
Yeah, no, thanks again, everybody. Every winner gets 3 hours to work with Eric Broadbent from Denton's. So everyone's kind of a winner. So feel free to email myself directly or email Tessa to pass it on to me. But I will do an intro to Eric, and the winner is LetHub. Congratulations, Faizan.
Yay, congratulations, you guys. Thank you so much to Irene, Jordan, LetHub, BrainFirst, Dropcommerce, all of our judges, our organizations, and to Denton's. And of course, for all of you for attending. We're going to see you on May 5th when we're joined by Accelerate Okanagan in Kelowna to witness a battle continue between Actera Tech, Sacral Solutions, and Back to Earth. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.